Well, you are sure busy. Yes, darling, I'm filing a suit. A suit? Yes, I am suing. Suing who? Whom and why? A certain celebrity that is stealing my look, and I won't have it, darling. Stealing your look? Yes, darling, that is what I said. Well, maybe they're just inspired by your look. Inspired? Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's possible. Yes. Yes, of course. You should be flattered. Yes, I should be. Yes, I am a style influencer. Well, darling, a source of inspiration. Hashtag goals, darling. So you're dropping the suit? Oh yes, darling. Inspirational leaders must take some amount of copying in stride. Okay, it's the sincerest form of flattery. True. Yes. Oh, by the way, who was the celebrity that you were suing? Oh, darling, it's better if you don't know. Okay. It was Julia Roberts. I know. Julia Roberts. She's obsessed with me. Poor thing, poor little Julia. Dropping the suit. Hi everyone, I'm Andy. Welcome to Furniture Fables. Inspiration or blatant ripoff? When does one cross over into the other? It can be sometimes difficult to make that call. But in Furniture Fablers land, where we are drowning in doomed for the dump pieces, a wise furniture fabler should perhaps look to industry leaders for inspiration in the hopes of reimagining and reintroducing a no longer in demand classic. Okay, so let's meet our classic friend who's no longer in demand. This is a lovely little reproduction secretary desk, probably made in the mid-century. You can see that she needs some help. The finish is practically falling off, and we've got scratches and dings just about everywhere. Thankfully, the drawers were all intact and in working order. And that lovely drop-down drawer was solid and balanced. And the interior organizer was in great shape too, although I'm not too sure about those decorative plinths, but more on that later. The inside desk surface was very worn and scratched, but great news, the wooden insert lifted right out, so that is very helpful for refinishing. And so, grabbing my trusty magnetic tray, I began. I started by removing that drop-down door, making sure to save all of the hardware, and then I took off those very traditional pulls as well. Gosh, I love my magnetic tray. John got me this. It's linked below if you would like to check it out. I think it would make a great gift for all kinds of people. Then I gave the piece a very good vacuuming inside and out, and a good cleaning with some Simple Green and water. And while I'm doing that, let me take just a minute to tell you about today's sponsor. Today's fable is sponsored by BetterHelp. Well, the holidays are coming, my friends, and that of course means more fun and more excitement and more pressure and more stress. Seems like a good time to check in on our mental health. BetterHelp is an online counseling service that connects you with a therapist. If you think you might benefit from therapy, consider BetterHelp. Just finding the right therapist can seem like such a daunting task. BetterHelp takes the stress out of all of that. To get started, you simply fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you'll be matched with your therapist, in most cases within 48 hours or less. And if you feel the therapist you are first matched with is not the right fit, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost and without stressing about insurance or who's in your network or who's available or in your area or any of that. With BetterHelp, you can have therapy sessions
via phone call or video chat, or even through messaging, if that is what you prefer, whatever is most comfortable for you. Speaking with a therapist can help you process your emotions in a safe space, and there is real power in getting those thoughts out of your head. Gone are the days when it was thought that therapy was only for times of intense crisis. We take good regular care of our dental health, our eye health. Ooh, gotta see the eye doctor. Let's take good regular care of our mental health too. If you are struggling or feeling stuck or overwhelmed, consider BetterHelp. Click my link below in the description box for 10% off your first month and see if BetterHelp can be of help to you. And now, back to the fable. Okay, everything was nice and clean now, and once it was dry, I started sanding. It's true that stripping a piece chemically is always a good idea before you sand, but this finish was practically melting off, so I just decided to go ahead and use my sander to remove the majority of it. Wow, here you can see just how red that original stain was that is covering what I think is mahogany veneer. As I worked, I wasn't too surprised to see a mix of woods. We've got, again, what I think is mahogany veneers on the drawer fronts, and then a different and much lighter wood on the sides and the top. And all of this has been covered in this extreme hyper red stain. So as I sanded and thought about what I wanted to do with this piece, I started to think about all of the many, many secretary desks that I see sit on the market for a very long, long time. You know, that drop front desk drawer is very charming, but it doesn't fit into a lot of people's modern lives, really. So these guys can be tough to sell. They are also the epitome of traditional styling with their colonial pulls and claw feet. But many flippers hesitate to alter them too much. I don't know, something about their proper little attitude makes one maybe feel a tad guilty at the thought of redesigning them. But I had decided to throw that guilt aside. Okay, let me talk to you about my inspiration. This is a birthday present. Yes, some people ask for lampshades for their birthday that I absolutely fell in love with. It is by House of Hackney, designed exclusively for Anthropologie, and I just loved everything about it. The London-based husband and wife team of House of Hackney follows in the footsteps of their design hero, William Morris, with saturated prints and colors inspired by nature. I love that they are all about ripping up the rulebook. This stunning, almost $2,000 bar hutch at Anthropologie had been haunting my dreams for quite a while. And so this gorgeous, unique lampshade with that same print was the perfect jumping off point for this little desk's inspiration. And I was also kind of excited to see if I could create something with a similar vibe for a lot less than $2,000. So because we are going to be getting some new hardware, I filled those old hardware holes with some Bondo. Once all that Bondo dried, I sanded it back, and then I got out this. This is Restoration Bronze by Melange Paints. This color had been calling my name for a while, and I think its deep olive with bronze undertones is going to set the perfect stage for our anthro-inspired look. Oh, I do want to mention that my camera didn't record, for some reason, I don't know why, the layer of clear shellac that I applied before I painted. I wanted to really seal things up to avoid any bleed through, and seal up my wood filler, and also any leftover bright red stain. Once I had 2 coats on, I grabbed a superfine foam abrasive and gave the entire piece a good sanding so that it felt nice and smooth, no grittiness. And then I used my misting bottle to really help me get the paint moving nice and easily, to give it a lot of slip. And I did a sort of half coat. This technique is great for achieving the smoothest, brushstroke-free finish that you can possibly get. And I have to say that Melange really does a great job leveling out. It's a good paint. So once the body was painted, I decided to grab this stencil. This is a bone inlay stencil, and I think its Eastern-inspired design will help to pull our very sweet desk silhouette into a kind of fresh direction. I sprayed the stencil with some temporary tacky spray, and then I sprayed that drawer front with a coat of polyacrylic top coat to seal it. Both of those steps are really going to help me get a nice, clear, clean stencil. Otherwise, if you just stencil onto raw wood, it's very likely that you will get something a little more muddy, a little more blurred. And then using a sponge brush, I began carefully dabbing on that paint. I decided to kind of create a border, and I didn't want to repeat those circle medallions there, so I just lined up the vines as I went and continued them until I got to the center. To finish off the pattern, I found the center there, and then I just made sure to bring the 2 vines together at that point. Then I found the center of the entire drawer front, and I added this larger medallion design. I wanted it to have a little bit more presence, so I added a little bit of that vine from the corner stencil. You can see how great they blend and work together. This is a good one. I really liked this stencil. It was fun to work with. And there I'm just going over those parts again because I just didn't get enough paint on. Okay, you remember that wooden insert? Well, I loathe painting little cubbies by hand. So I ran to my local Ace and I grabbed a shade of green paint. I think this is oregano. That's pretty close to the Restoration Bronze. And I used it as a sort of primer over the entire secretary organizer. It will be way easier, much more maneuverable than my spray gun. Here in the sun, you can see how ridiculously red this thing is. Honestly, sometimes I think it's hilarious when people get upset about painting furniture. This color is no more the natural color of this wood than what I am spraying. After that coat dried, I came back in with a coat of Restoration Bronze, painting by hand, because, you know, that's how I had to do it. But now you may have already noticed that the plinths, which is what I'm calling them, that are guarding the door are interesting, problematic. I'm going to go ahead and paint them and see what the paint does for them. Gosh, this is awkward. Good grief. Okay, so obviously we are going to need some pattern, and so I chose this awesome paper that I found just over on Amazon that I think is going to give us that Anthropologie designer vibe and beautifully play off of our Restoration Bronze paint. And by the way, this paper is super thick and strong. It was really great to work with. It survived me, and you know how I am about wallpaper. I lined the inside of the top cubby, and then I also lined the bottom of the 3 drawers. Then I found the center at the crest of those serpentine drawer fronts, and I drilled new holes for new pulls before adding a layer of clear wax. Melange paint, by the way, contains a primer, a gripping primer, but unlike all-in-one paints or like Fusion, which I use a lot of the time, it does not have a built-in top coat. So if you decide to use it, you do need to pick some type of top coat. Whenever I do a stencil, I always really like to do a fine sanding. Otherwise, stencils tend to feel gritty and almost too raised up. I carefully sanded until that front felt nice and smooth, and then gave that edge a 3rd coat of Restoration Bronze so that it would be nice and crisp. It was just about this time that I decided my phallic friends had to go. I tried, folks, but no, just no. Oh, and check out what happened on the second one. So that just happened. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. There was a flying phallic plinth. I have some paint touch-ups to do. That's just as embarrassing. What dude designed this? I want to know. May I have a word? Yes, may I have a word? Just another reminder that people are people. And even people who made furniture a long time ago occasionally made ridiculous choices that they may or may not have been aware of. I think this is going to be much better. Okay, do you remember our royally red rascal? Suffering from finish fatigue and an all too traditional style? Well, here she is, now. Let's tear up that rulebook, friends, and make space for something special. Set off by a sea of Restoration Bronze and nature-inspired stencil, that old-fashioned drop desk front is having an entirely modern moment. And on the inside, well, whether she's employing her original organizer or going more casual, her vintage-inspired bird and lotus flower paper is the perfectly special pop alongside her paint and new modern hardware. Ready for a writer or as an accent piece with storage, I think our once forgotten secretary is now something special. So how much did my something special cost me? Well, the desk, of course, was free. I spent about $8 on paint. That bone inlay stencil was $20. 6 of those solid brass pulls came out to $15. The roll of that vintage inspired paper was $16. I used about $10 worth. And I'll say another $20 for spray paint, wax, top coat, rags, Bondo, etc., bringing my total out-of-pocket cost to $73. So what will I list it for? Well, I have to say that I am really happy with how this design came out, and I'm tempted to think that she might do well at market, given my cost, 3 good long days of work, and this one's specialness. I think a list price of $625 is worth a try. Compared to $2,000, it's a bargain, right? Let me know what you think about that list price and whether or not we hit that design inspo target. I sure hope you enjoyed today's fable. If so, please do make sure to give me a thumbs up and also make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future specialness or any future footage of questionably shaped flying objects. I mean, where else are you gonna get content like that? What do you think? Look how beautiful. Show people how beautiful you are. Green eye. Thank you so much for joining me, my friends. I will see you next time for more Furniture Fables.